Donald Trump finally admitted that he lost the 2020 election. Just kidding. He's now saying that there's fraud in the most recent elections that we saw a couple weeks ago, and he continues to say that there was fraud in his election. Here's Joe Rogan's take on it.
But he's also saying they stole the election. And I feel like if you say that, you've got to have some like really good evidence that you could give out. Like if you said to me, if I ran for president and I told you, dude, they stole the election, and you're like, how? I would have an answer. No one has an answer. There's no documentary that's really good. Like no one's like put together like a rock solid, peer-reviewed, paper-supported documentary. This is exactly what happened. This is how they stole the election. We know that you can do this. We know they did this. We know that these things got dropped off. We know it didn't make any sense. We know there's dead people voted. We know there was ballots that were mail-in ballots that were brought in shipments, and all of them were for Biden. And there was thousands of them, and they swung vote. Okay, if you have that, then you got to make a documentary, a really good one, and put it out there so everybody can understand it. Because it's crazy that this is 4 years later and people are still saying that.
Yeah. If you've got the proof, do a documentary. Do a peer-reviewed paper. Do a memo. Something. Prove it. You can't just say there was fraud and not have any proof. Otherwise, you're the pillow guy and everyone else who says there was fraud.
Or you don't want to fix it because you monkey with the elections too. You know, and here is there evidence of that? Well, I do know that a Republican company who bought Dominion, who bought the Dominion voting thing. I believe a GOP supporter bought the voting machines.
Oh, really?
Right. Yeah. So it's one of two things that's going on. Dominion voting system sold to company run by former Republican election official.
What?
Yeah.
This world sucks.
This is where it gets sus.
Ooh, Joe just took it deeper. Maybe they want to monkey with the elections. That's right. This guy on the right, this Republican guy, bought Dominion voting machines. So what's he up to? What are you up to? Huh? How are we going to stop him?
The president posted on True Social that the voting underway in California is, quote, rigged. What evidence does he have of that, and what does it mean that mail-in ballots in that state are under legal and criminal review? By whom and why? And also, in this vein, does the White House still plan to issue an executive order banning mail-in voting, and what legal authority do you have to do that?
The White House is working on an executive order to strengthen our elections in this country and to ensure that there cannot be blatant fraud, as we've seen in California with their universal mail-in voting system. It's absolutely true that there's fraud in California's elections. It's just a fact. It is just a fact. They have a universal mail-in voting system, which we know is ripe for fraud. And if you want to deny that, I'm happy to provide you all of the evidence for it. I'd be glad to send that to you after this briefing.
Rigged.
Fraudulent ballots that are being mailed in the names of other people, in the names of illegal aliens who shouldn't be voting in American elections. There's countless examples, and we'd be happy to provide them. As for executive action the White House is taking, yes, we are looking into that. And like any executive order, of course, any executive order the president signs is within his full executive authority and within the confines of the law.
Yeah, Caroline Levitt, she says, it's just a fact. And the reporter goes, what's the proof? It's just facts. There was cheating. There was fraud in California. How do you know, ma'am? It's just fact. Don't worry about it. Just trust me. Don't worry about it. How does Caroline Levitt just stand with such a serious face and deliver that news? I mean, she should be laughing. She should be laughing or blushing because it's really embarrassing.
Donald Trump is an historic president. He is the most historically unpopular president in modern history. In every critical category, Donald Trump is underwater. He promised to make us healthier. He promised to make us wealthier. We're sicker and poorer. And he fundamentally understands that. Why else would he call Greg Abbott saying he's entitled to 5 seats? Why else is he trying to rig the midterm elections before one single vote? is even cast. He understands his position at this moment in the United States of America. One thing he never counted on, though, was the state of California. Instead of agonizing over the state of our nation, we organized in an unprecedented way in a 90-day sprint. People from all over the United States of America contributed their voices and their support for this initiative.
Boom. Gavin shows up, brings a knife to a knife fight, gun to a gun fight. He's ready to go. That's Gavin Newsom telling us what happened during that election where California voters said, yes, let's go ahead and redistrict, because it all started when Donald Trump realized he was going to lose the midterms because he's so unpopular. And he thought, how can I cheat my way into keeping this Congress that will just rubber stamp everything that I want to do? Oh, I know how we could do it. We could redistrict in states like Texas, called Greg Abbott. Greg Abbott said, let's do it. Usually the way redistricting works is every 10 years after the census, they go, oh, this state gained this many more people or lost this many more people. And they're supposed to have bipartisan or neutral ways of drawing the district line so that people aren't gerrymandered into certain districts so that they give an advantage that that state wants for their Democratic or Republican Party. But in this case, it's going to be 2026, and they went ahead and did the redistricting in 2025 when they weren't supposed to, and some other states started to do it. And Donald Trump thought, there you go, I got it. I'm basically cheating to win again, which is what they do. It's really, whenever they say that the election was rigged or someone else is cheating, it's more of an admission than it is an accusation. Remember that, okay? Whatever they say, they're doing. So Donald Trump is trying to rig the system so that he wins. That's why Caroline Leavitt was saying that the Trump administration might issue an executive order to ban mail-in ballots. Mail-in ballots are some of the most secure ballots that are out there. California voting is very secure. Even during the 2020 election, Donald Trump's own guy, who was a Republican, said that it was one of the most secure elections in history. You had guys like Bill Barr, who was his attorney general, who was a big supporter of Donald Trump's. And he said, sir, there was not cheating to the point where it would make any difference at all. And who cheated? Let's not forget, it was Donald Trump who called the Secretary of State in Georgia and said, find me 11,000 votes. Find me 11,000 votes. That's not, hey, I believe that I was, I was cheated out of 11,000 votes. Can we do a recount? I really want to do one more recount just to be sure. No, that's find me 11,000 votes. That's an admission right there that he's cheating. They cheated and they got away with it because Merrick Garland was too slow in prosecuting them for cheating. He started at the bottom. He said, let me go after the January 6th people that stormed the Capitol, and I'll work my way up. By the time he worked his way up, it was too late. That's the world we're living in. And now they're claiming that every election that they have a loss in is not a legitimate election. It's a rigged election. And even Joe Rogan was saying, well, then show it. Where's the proof? It's like it goes back to the pillow guy. The pillow guy from day one kept saying, I got proof, I got proof, I got proof. And he would show up in these big conference rooms or whatever, and his proof was all just nonsense. And he would keep going. By the way, where is the pillow guy? I haven't seen him in a while. Wonder if he's asleep on a pillow or if he's broke. I have no idea. But the fact is, they don't have any real serious people on the MAGA side. There's no serious people there. And what they want to do is they want to disenfranchise voters so that the black citizens and Latinos and others who would be voting Democratic have a harder time voting. They're trying to increase this whole thing with identifications for voting. I mean, basically, to register, you got to show you are who you are. But they're making it harder and harder. I volunteered during one of the elections to help people figure out how to vote. And people would ask me that were in certain states, they said, hey, I don't know how to even get to my location. And I would say, well, this is the way you figure it out to get to that location. And they were telling me how hard it was for some people. Some people might be old. They might have some disabilities. We should be making it easier and easier. There should be a day off. There should be a day off for the whole country, and then we go and vote. We have some of the lowest voter turnouts out of Western countries. We've had it for ages because it's on a Tuesday. People are working, they're running around. A lot of people don't vote because they're just not as in tune with what's going on. But if you had a national holiday or it was mandatory to vote, you would have more voting. And perhaps then the Republican Party would really see what people think about them. Because the truth is that if you had a majority of people vote, the Republican Party would not win. That's it. Donald Trump even said it. He said, if you make it easier to vote, we'll never win another election. So they're trying to make it harder to vote. They're trying to find ways to cheat. They've got their own election folks buying Dominion machines. You don't think they're going to try and rig that? Mark Meadows was Donald Trump's one of his guys. I think he was his chief of staff. He ended up voting twice because he had two different addresses. So who's cheating? Who's trying to rig the election? Caroline Leavitt with a straight face. Really? You can do that with a straight face? It's incredible. It's incredible how these people will try to bamboozle and have bamboozled their own followers to think that there was some rigging. And then what the problem is, when you believe that there was rigging, but there's no proof to it, and you're going to listen to these alternative facts, you're going to listen to Caroline Leavitt because she told you to listen to her. When you're going to listen to those things, then you start being skeptical about everything that's told to you. And then you start seeing, people be skeptical about vaccines. People be skeptical about anything the government is trying to do for them. Oh, you're trying to give us health insurance with the Affordable Care Act? What are you up to? Are you a communist? What are you up to? Oh, you want to have some restrictions on guns? What are you up to? You can take away my guns? They just get more and more skeptical because these guys Trump and MAGA have convinced their followers that there's a deep state and there's cheating and rigging going on all over the place, rather than believing in the fact that, elections are more secure than ever. We have the technology to make them more secure, so why wouldn't we make them more secure? That's just a fact. But a lot of MAGA does not believe it because Donald Trump to this day has not admitted that he lost the 2020 election and that he tried to claw it back illegally with all of the shenanigans he and Rudy Giuliani and John Eastman and all those guys pulled, who are now all pardoned, by the way. They've all been pardoned, including the people who stormed the Capitol have all been pardoned. So when your reality is a made-up reality, then you can do whatever you want. So they're taking criminals, people who were the head of the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers, who led violence against cops on January 6th, and they're pardoning them. So there's never going to be a wake-up moment for a lot of the Trump MAGA base, but hopefully little by little they're seeing with their own eyes. We just saw Joe Rogan, who going into the elections had brought him on his show, interviewed him, and some people say it helped him win. We see Joe Rogan now going, well, where's your proof? You got no proof. Show the proof. Make a documentary. A good one. Make one, not from Dinesh D'Souza, who makes horrible documentaries that are all propaganda. No, let's see something objective. There is no proof. There is no proof. There was no rigging of elections in 2020. This most recent election was definitely a mandate against Donald Trump because his policies have been so bad on the economy, on healthcare, on foreign policy, everything. He has just stunk. And so these most recent elections where Mamdani won and the governors won and the Democratic governors won in Virginia and Jersey, those were all mandates against Donald Trump and the Republican Party. There was even some lower level seats won in some red states. Again, mandates against Donald Trump and the Republican Party. And we can only hope that all of us stay awake and pay attention going into the midterms next year, and we give some guardrails to stop Donald Trump from doing all of the damage he's doing to our country. Guys, I'm comedian Maz Jobrani. Believe it or not, I like to be funny. I've got a page right here on YouTube at Maz Jobrani. Give it a follow. Or come find me on the road. I'm touring all over the country. I'll be on the East Coast, West Coast, MazJobrani.com. Come see some comedy live. Let's laugh.